Greetings all, this is Josh here with Night for Today. Sorry it's been a little while since my last video update. Kind of had some family medical issues going on, but I'm glad to be able to do this again. So kind of a follow-up question to my last video, somebody asked me why Christians go to church on Sunday and not on Saturday, like so many others do. Well, let's start with what Saturday is. It's the Sabbath. You hear the word Sabbath thrown a lot in church circles, and that is Saturday. We see in Leviticus 23:3, there are 6 days when you may work, but the seventh day is a Sabbath of rest, a day of sacred assembly. You are not to do any work wherever you live. It is a Sabbath to the Lord. So what that means is that the Jewish people from the time of Moses were to set aside Saturday not just as a day to relax or watch football. This was a day where they were to gather together. It's a day of sacred assembly, it says. A day to gather together to worship the Lord, to be reminded of what His Word says. And this was very important. This tradition was carried on throughout the Old Testament, where there were observers of the Lord, even into the New Testament. Jesus and the apostles would still gather together in the synagogues for worship. So why did this change? Well, it really started with the resurrection of Jesus. Every gospel tells us that the resurrection happened on Sunday, on the first day of the week. From that point forward, Christians began to gather together to have their own sacred assembly on Sundays to honor the resurrection. Now, for those who are Jews, they often still went to the synagogue early on to have that Sabbath on Sunday, but to their Gentile converts, they gathered together with them and with all other believers on Sundays to honor the resurrection, to have that time to honor the new covenant of the Lord. And we see this going on from that point forward. It was never considered to be the Sabbath. The Sabbath was Saturday. Instead, the first day of the week is known as the Lord's Day. Even going into early Bible references in Revelation, John calls the first day of the week the Lord's Day. Acts 20 shows that it had become an established practice for Christians to gather together on the first day of the week. They came together, they broke bread, taking communion and having a fellowship meal, and came together for the apostles' teaching. This was what they did on Sundays. And even 1 Corinthians 16 mentions that early Christians gathered together on the first day of the week, and this was when they took up their offering, their collection that they did to support their Lord's work. So this is something we see carrying on very early in the church. But again, this is separate from the Sabbath. The Sabbath was the last day of the week. Sunday was the first day of the week, and that's when Christians gathered together on the Lord's Day to honor the resurrection. Because whereas the Sabbath honored that on the seventh day God rested in creation, God did so much greater work than just creation with the resurrection of Jesus Christ and wiping all sins away. So that's why we as Christians gather together on Sundays. Thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to hit like, subscribe, share this video so I can get some views. Subscribe to where you never miss a video, and hopefully I'll be out with another video next week. Thank you very much.